From translation, ISV International Standard Version. This 93rd day of the year. Today we are reading passages 1 Samuel 25 to 27. 1 Samuel chapter 25, verses 1 to 44. Now Samuel died, and all Israel assembled and mourned for him, and they buried him in his house at Ramah. Then David got up and went down to the wilderness of Paran. There was a man in Maon whose business was in Carmel. The man was very wealthy. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. That man's name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. The woman was intelligent and beautiful in appearance, but the man was harsh and his actions were evil. He was a Calebite. When David heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing his sheep, David sent 10 young men from himself, and David said to the young men of Judah, "Go up to Carmel and go to Nabal and greet him in my name. You are to say this to him, 'Long life to you, peace to your house, peace to all that you have. I have heard that you have shearers. Now your shepherds have been with us, and we have done them no harm, and they have not missed anything all the time they were in Carmel. Ask your young men, and they will tell you. Therefore let my young men find favor in your eyes, for we have come on a festive day. Please give whatever you have at hand to your servants and to your son David.' So when David's young men came, they spoke to Nabal according to all these words in the name of David, and they waited. But Nabal answered David's servants, 'Who is David? Who is the son of Jesse? There are many servants these days who break away from their masters. Should I take my bread and my water and the meat that I have slaughtered for my shearers, and give them to men whose origin I don't know?' So David's young men turned back on their way and came back and told him all these words. David said to his men, 'Put on your swords.' So each man put on his sword. David also put on his sword, and about 400 men went up after David, while 200 stayed with the supplies. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, 'Look, David sent messengers from the wilderness to greet our master, but he insulted them. The men were very good to us, and we were not harmed, nor did we miss anything all the days we were in the field, as long as we were with them. They were a wall to us both by night and by day, all the time we were with them herding the sheep. Now consider this and see what you should do, for disaster is hanging over our master and all his household. He is such a worthless man that no one can speak to him.' Then Abigail quickly took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 seahs of roasted grain, 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs, and loaded them on donkeys. She said to her young men, 'Go on ahead of me. See, I'm coming after you.' But she did not tell her husband Nabal. As she was riding her donkey and coming down a mountain hidden in the ravine, David and his men were coming down to meet her. She met them. Now David had just said, 'I have guarded everything that belonged to this man in the wilderness, and nothing of his was missing, but he has paid me back evil for good. May God do this to David's enemies, and even more, if by morning I leave any male of all who belong to Nabal.' When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off the donkey and fell with her face to the ground before David and bowed herself to the ground. She fell at his feet and said, 'Let my lord please pay attention to the words of your servant. Please, let no evil be found in me on account of your servant, for your servant did not know what this man was like, whether good or evil. Now, my lord, as surely as the Lord lives and as you yourself live, since the Lord has prevented you from coming to bloodshed and from taking vengeance with your own hand, may your enemies and those who wish to harm my lord be like Nabal. Now accept this gift that your servant has brought to my lord, and let it be given to the men who follow my lord. Please forgive your servant's offense, for the Lord will certainly make my lord a lasting house, because my lord is fighting the battles of the Lord, and evil will not be found in you all the days of your life. Though someone rises up to pursue you and to seek your life, yet the life of my lord will be bound in the bundle of the living in the care of the Lord your God. But the lives of your enemies he will sling out as from the hollow of a sling. When the Lord has done for my lord according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you, and has appointed you ruler over Israel, then this will not be a cause of grief or a burden to my lord, by having shed needlessly or without cause. May the Lord your life be good in the sight of the Lord, and may you remember your servant.' David said to Abigail, 'Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me. May your good sense and your faithfulness be with you, because you have prevented me today from coming to bloodshed and from taking vengeance with my own hands. Otherwise, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel, lives who prevented me from harming you, if you had not quickly come to meet me, surely by morning not one male of Nabal's household would have remained.' So David accepted from her hand what she had brought him, and he said to her, 'Go up to your house in peace. See, I have listened to your voice and have granted your petition.' Abigail went to Nabal, and he was holding a feast in his house like the feast of a king. Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunk, so she did not tell him anything until morning light. In the morning, when Nabal was sober, His wife told him all these things, and his heart died within him, and he became like a stone. About 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Blessed be the Lord, who has upheld my cause from the hand of Nabal, and has prevented me from doing evil. The Lord has returned the evil of Nabal on his own head." Then David sent and spoke with Abigail to take her as his wife. When David's servants came to Abigail at Carmel, they spoke to her, saying, "David has sent us to you to take you to him as his wife." She bowed with her face to the ground and said, "Here is your maidservant, a servant to wash the feet of my lord's servants." Abigail got up quickly, and she rode on a donkey with her 5 young women who attended her, and they followed David's messengers, and she became his wife. David had also taken Ahinoam of Jezreel, and both of them became his wives. But Saul had given his daughter Michal, David's wife, to Palti son of Laish, who was from Galim. 1 Samuel chapter 26, verses 1 to 31. The Ziphites came to Saul at Gibeah, saying, "Isn't David hiding on the hill of Hachilah, which faces Jeshimon?" So Saul got up and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, having 3,000 chosen men of Israel with him. He searched for David in the wilderness of Ziph. Saul camped on the hill of Hachilah, which faces Jeshimon, by the main road. David stayed in the wilderness. When he saw that Saul had followed him into the wilderness, David sent men out, and he learned that Saul had definitely come. David then rose up and came to the place where Saul had camped. David saw the place where Saul lay, and Abner son of Ner, the commander of his army. Saul was lying within the camp with the army camped around him. David said to Ahimelech the Hittite and to Abishai son of Zeruiah, brother of Joab, "Who will go down with me to the camp with Saul?" Abishai said, "I will go down with you." So David and Abishai came to the army by night. There was Saul lying asleep within the camp, with his spear stuck in the ground by his head, and Abner and the army were lying around him. Abishai said to David, "Today God has delivered your enemy into your hands. Now let me pin him to the ground with the spear once and for all. I won't strike him twice." But David said to Abishai, "Don't destroy him. For who can extend his hand against the Lord's anointed and remain guiltless?" David said, "As surely as the Lord lives, the Lord will strike him, or his day will come to die, or he will go down into battle and be destroyed. The Lord forbid that I should extend my hand against the Lord's anointed, but take now the spear that is at his head and the container of water, and let's go." So David took the spear and the container of water from Saul's head, and they went away. No one saw or knew anything, nor did anyone wake up, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from the Lord had fallen on them. David went beyond the camp and stood at a distance, at a great distance. David called out to the army and to Abner son of Ner, "Abner." He answered, "Who are you who calls to the king?" David said to Abner, "Aren't you a man? Who is like you in Israel? Why then did you guard your lord the king? For one of the people came in to destroy your lord the king. This thing that you have done is not good. As surely as the Lord lives, you deserve to die, because you have not guarded your lord, the Lord's anointed. Now look where the king's spear is, and the container of water that was at his head." Saul recognized David's voice and said, "Is that your voice, my son David?" David said, "It is my voice, my lord the king." Saul said, "Why have you disturbed me to bring me up?" David said, "I have not disturbed you, but the Lord said to me, I will deliver your enemy into your hand. You are to do to him as it seems good to you. So I have captured you today, but I have not killed you. For who can extend his hand against the Lord's anointed and remain guiltless? See, today the king has his life in your hands, since I let you go safely. May the Lord repay each person for his righteousness and his faithfulness. For the Lord has delivered you today into my hand, but I would not extend my hand against the Lord's anointed. Now, please, let my lord the king listen to the words of his servant. If the Lord has stirred you up against me, let him accept an offering. But if it is the sons of men, let them be cursed before the Lord, for they have driven me out today from sharing in the inheritance of the Lord, saying, Go serve other gods. Now then, don't let my blood fall to the ground far from the presence of the Lord. For the king of Israel has come out to look for a flea, as when one hunts a partridge in the mountains. Saul said, I have sinned. Come back, my son David, for I will not harm you again, because my life was precious in your eyes today. I have been a fool and have made a great error. David answered, Here is the king's spear. Let one of the young men come over and get it. The Lord will repay each person for his righteousness and his faithfulness, for the Lord has delivered you today into my hand, but I would not extend my hand against the Lord's anointed. As surely as your life is precious in my eyes today, and as surely as the Lord has delivered me into your hand, but I have not killed you, now may the Lord also repay your goodness, for you have done this to me today. Now I know that you will surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel will be established in your hand. So David went his way, and Saul went his way. David returned and went to the stronghold. Meanwhile, David sent messengers to Abner son of Ner, saying, Whose son are you? Why have you not guarded your lord the king? for one of the people came in to destroy your lord the king. You deserve to die because you have not guarded your lord, the Lord's anointed. Now look where the king's spear is and the container of water that was at his head. Abner said, I swear by your life that you deserve to die, for you have stirred up the king against me. David said, I will not be guilty before the Lord for what I have done today concerning the king of Israel. Look, I have taken the king's spear and the container of water. Let's go. So David went his way, and Saul returned to his place. 1 Samuel chapter 27, verses 1 to 12. Then David said to himself, I will one day perish by the hand of Saul. There is nothing better for me than to escape to the land of the Philistines. Then Saul will give up searching for me in all the territory of Israel, and I will escape from his hand. So David and the 600 men with him went over to Achish son of Maoch, king of Gath. David stayed with Achish in Gath, he and his men, each man with his household. David had his 2 wives, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail of Carmel, Nabal's widow. When Saul was told that David had fled to Gath, he no longer searched for him. David said to Achish, If I have found favor in your eyes, let me be given a place in one of the country towns, so that I may live there. Why should your servant live in the royal city with you? So that day Achish gave him Ziklag. Therefore Ziklag has belonged to the kings of Judah to this day. The time that David lived in the country of the Philistines was 1 year and 4 months. David and his men went up and raided the Jeshurites, the Girzites and the Amalekites, those who were living in the rest of the land, from Shur as far as the land of Egypt. When David attacked a place, he did not leave a man or woman alive, but he took sheep, cattle, donkeys, camels, and clothing, and he returned and came to Achish. Whenever Achish would ask, Where did you raid today? David would say, Against the Negev of Judah, or against the Negev of the Jerahmeelites, or against the Negev of the Kenites. Neither David nor his men left a man or woman alive to bring to Gath, for he thought, otherwise they might tell about us, saying, David did this. Such was his practice all the time that he lived in the country of the Philistines. Achish trusted David, thinking, He has made himself odious to his people Israel, therefore he will be my servant forever.